with the sharp clack of a lock releasing, the door swung open.
Erotic violence.
Ahead of them, in the small hallway, were the pitiful remains of the 9th man. For a moment, Junpei froze. Try as he might, his eyes would not leave the corpse and his feet would not leave the floor. 7 too seemed paralyzed.
Ich hoffe, dass die nicht in den Floor zu schweben einfach.
Snake, on the other hand, seemed unconcerned. He walked calmly down the bloody hallway and only stopped when he realized his companions were not following.
Do you intend to kill me? I assume you haven't forgotten the door only remains open for 9 seconds, have you?
He hadn't even bothered to turn around. His head was, at most, slightly cocked toward one shoulder. Junpei and 7 looked at one another, nodded, and threw themselves through the door. As they did, a cold tone sounded from the left wrists of all 3 men. 7 and Junpei looked down at their bracelets. On both of them, and on Snake's, a red skull had flickered to life. The detonator had begun its countdown. They had scarcely processed this information when... Poof. With a metallic slam, the numbered door behind them swung shut.
Poof. Das war gut.
Unless they could find the device that would deactivate the detonators on their wrists, they would not be leaving the hallway.
Hey! Where's the dead?
The fear and urgency in 7's face reflected what all 3 of them felt. Junpei spun around, searching desperately for the dead. Das klingt so komisch, wenn man das vorliest. He found it easily enough. It was...
7's Apfelhut macht mich voll fertig.
Apfelhut?
Der hat einen,
Ist da ein Apfel drauf?
Der hat so eine wie nennt man diese Art von Hut nochmal?
Beanie?
Beanie, genau, der hat so ein Beanie mit einem Apple-Logo.
It was on the wall next to the closed door, labeled 5.
Found it! I win, you lose, right here.
As he yelled, he struck the scanner with his hand. The other 2 scrambled to follow suit. Diese Blassern. As soon as they finished, Snake threw the lever down.
Hit the lever! That's all. Well, it looks like it stopped.
As he spoke, Junpei wiped the sweat from his forehead with a trembling hand.
Goddamn thing's gonna give me a heart attack.
A muscle stood out in 7's neck, and the corners of his mouth were twitching.
Jumpy, are you alright? Are you guys okay? Oh, die 2 Namen sind gemein.
They could hear anxious voices, muffled but distinct, from the other side of the door.
Yeah, we're fine. The detonators have been deactivated.
They heard relieved sighs, and even though the 3 men could feel the tension disperse. Huh? And even through the door.
Yeah. Alright, we're moving on. Be careful, okay?
Okay.
Nee, okay. Sure thing.
Sure thing. They heard footsteps moving away, and before long they were alone again. Junpei looked around. The hallway hit a dead end 20 or 30 feet from where they stood. A thick iron wall blocked their way. Try as they might to force it, the wall refused to move. To the left, however, was a wooden door that looked positively inviting by comparison.
Ja, war eine Tür, ne?
In the middle of it was a plaque that read First Class.
This plaque reads First Class, huh? Well, it seems like it. Let's have a look then, shall we?
Resident Evil. Without hesitation, Snake opened the door and stepped inside. 7 followed closely behind him. Junpei moved to follow them as well, but... He stopped just short of the threshold and looked back, not knowing why. Lying in the small hallway was a man's body, or at least what was left of it. He tried hard to avoid looking at the grisly scene, but it just wouldn't leave his mind. What had once been a man's internal organs now looked like so much vomit, as though something had chewed up and spit out the better part of his torso. It was hideous, but worse still, it was cruel. It was hard to believe the thing on the floor had once been human. The black pool of thick blood, the lumps of glistening flesh spread across the floor, the awkward twisted tangle of shredded intestines, the head wrenched to some grotesque unnatural position. The man's glasses lay next to his head. The lenses were cracked and the frame bent and distorted. And next to the glasses lay a bracelet the number 9 still displayed on its face. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1. You escape from the ship. 2. Your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship or detects that its wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically.
Ha!
Suddenly, Junpei felt his stomach convulse and a knot of muscle gripped his throat. He clapped his hands over his mouth and ran to the first-class cabin.
Ich mag Kotzgeräusche zu machen.
Schön. The atmosphere changed immediately. The room was gorgeous, and despite the apparent age of the ship, none the worse for wear.
Then Junpei puked all over it.
Yeah. He looked around. Seven and Snake were nowhere to be seen. There were 2 doors on the right side of the room. He opened the one on his right and went through. On the other side of the room was a short hallway. He jogged down the hallway, opened the door at the other end, and peeked through. There they were, to his right, busy examining something. He stepped through the door and walked toward them.
What's up? Check this out. We found this thing here on the door. The red light's on. Does that mean it's locked? So I would assume. Is there any other way out? We looked around a little. Other than this door, we didn't find anything. So you're telling me that unless we can open this door, yes, we won't be going anywhere.
Junpei stepped away from the door and looked around this room. The room they were in looked like a bedroom. He figured the room he'd originally entered was the living room or whatever passed for one on a ship.
Alright, let's find a way to open this door. Ich habe gegähnt, dass wir uns anders angehört. Come on, guys, yeah, come on, cool now. Oh, wie groß das Ding ist, ey. So cool. So.
Seek
Hier,
way out.
das war übrigens der Walkthrough, den ich letztens zuerst vorgelesen habe. Weil auch hier beginnt es damit mit Examine the bed, look under the pillow.
Warte mal. Oh, mein Stift wieder.
Ja.
Examine the bed, look under the pillow.
Genau. Dann haben wir die Score Plate A, du kannst ja mal searchen. I see, this feels like glass. A rectangular plate of glass. Is there something written on the surface? Yeah, it's a sheet of music with a couple of A notes. Just A's? Yes, that's it. Kinda weird, huh? So, dann examinst du mal das Piano. Irgendwo muss ein Piano sein.
Oh. It took Junpei by surprise. Snake, usually so calm and collected, suddenly began to move.
Wo hast du drauf gedrückt?
Irgendwo.
Okay.
Ich habe auf zurückgedrückt.
Okay.
He stared about the room almost frantically, clearly looking for something. No, Junpei thought. Not staring. After all, he's blind.
Get it?
Blind or not, Snake was clearly attempting to do something. At least, Junpei could no longer contain his curiosity.
What are you doing?
Snake waited for a moment before answering.
I heard something strange. Something strange? Ah well, never mind. It doesn't seem to be anything suspicious. I don't wish to toot my own horn, but my auditory senses are considerably more advanced than those of mere humans. Ich höre schon most, aber
Ja.
ich habe das verbessert. I notice even the slightest of noises. Right, are you gonna tell me you can hear a needle drop from a mile away or something? Ha, no, such a thing would be impossible. However, by listening to the sound of footsteps and breathing, as well as sounds echoing off the environment, I can locate most objects. Oh yeah, that's right. When Clover fell on the big staircase a little while ago, you were at her side immediately. So that was... Yes, I could hear it happening. In fact, I can run quite fast, certainly as fast as you. And should someone attempt to start a fight with me, I am quite confident that I could defeat them.
Junpei was somewhat taken aback by his revelation.
I'm Daredevil.
He stared at Snake, skeptical.
You don't believe me, do you? Care to give me a try? I must warn you, you will no doubt regret it. Well, I suppose that's enough playing around. Let's resume our search, shall we?
With a small, self-satisfied smile, Snake turned and walked away from Junpei.
So, ich glaube, irgendwo in dem Raum müsste noch ein Piano stehen, ein Klavier. Da.
Jawohl.
Und da einmal das Ding da oben.
Ach, das Ding.
Genau, Piano, Keyboard. What is Snake doing? He can't play, can he? Das war Snake gerade. This piano. There's something amiss with the keys. You mean it's out of tune or something? No, not that. It's probably tuned, just... Well, the sounds are clearly purposefully different. The C key doesn't yield a C, but rather a different note entirely. The same goes for the D keys. They play some other note. Huh. Why do you think that it's like that? Isn't it painfully obvious that Zero modified it in some way? This piano, you see, is part of one of the puzzles Zero has set for us. Perhaps if we play the keys in the correct order, something will happen. In other words, we need to play a song on the piano. I believe so. What's this? This isn't a score. Is this a map of the ship? A map? There's a map of the ship in here? Yeah. Then I imagine it will prove very helpful. You'd best hold on to it, Junpei. Okay.
Yay!
It's now possible to use the map screen.
Map Screen.
Ja, das ist, kann man glaube ich skippen.
Naja, nee, nicht so wirklich.
Also ich meine, wir müssen es nicht lesen.
Ja. Wir wissen, was eine Map ist.
Die hat auch keinen so wirklichen Nutzen für das Spiel.
Das wollte ich nämlich gerade fragen. Hat man die wirklich mal benutzt?
Nee. Wenn du dich halt selbst einfach für deine eigenen Zwecke umgucken willst, hilft die.
Dann waren wir hier
die
schon fertig.
Piano Keys hast du schon examined. Open the right door.
So, ich hab nochmal drauf gedrückt. Ich dachte, man könnte auch was spielen.
Nee, noch nicht.
The right door?
Die right door, genau.
Okay.
Dann ist da den Schrank, genau.
Schrank. Ah.
Die Scorpio C. Dann kannst du den Safe examinen. Ich glaube, das ist okay. This safe is locked. It's one of those dial locks. It doesn't have a key. We just need to get the dial in the right place and it'll open. Did you find anything, Seven? Nope. And how about you, Snake? I also found nothing. So, dann die linke Tür. Und da ist jetzt irgendwo ein Kamin, den wir einmal examinen müssen. Huh? There's something in the back. Let's see if I can reach it. Just a little. God damn it, that's hot! You aren't real smart, are you?
Jetzt ins Feuer gefasst.
Come on, cause it's gonna be hot. It's a fire. Even a monkey knows it shouldn't stick its hand in a fire. Well. Die Vase ist neben einer Tür, eine blaue Vase sollte da sein, die wir nehmen müssen. Genau. Und dann gehen wir durch die rechte Tür. I get it. You're gonna use this vase, right? That's pretty clever, Junpei. We just gotta fill this thing with water. Sehr gut. Genau, durch die rechte Tür. Und dann durch die mittlere Tür. Und dann füllen wir unsere Vase, das ist schon ausgewählt, mit dem Wasser. Well, the sink's clean. Any water? Nothing's coming out. We've got the faucet on all the way, but I can't see anything. Oh, das ist 7, Entschuldigung.
Ist ja auch hier drin.
Yep. The bathtub's full of gross, cloudy water. Alright. Shouldn't be too hard to fill this vase up. Yay! So, und hier habe ich, also ich habe das jetzt auch ohne Walkthrough gespielt.
Ja, ja.
Versucht, nee, du musst doch noch was machen.
In dem Wasser?
Mhm.
Was denn?
Also, siehst du das selbst, wenn du weißt, dass du es machen musst?
Ich weiß ja nicht, was ich machen muss.
Ja, genau, das ist gerade, ich will gerade nur sehen, ob man das wirklich selbst drauf kommen kann. The faucet's really hard to turn. Man, doesn't really matter how hard I jank on it, this thing won't budge. Hard for you to turn, kid? How about you let me give a shot? A man give a shot. Damn it. Nothing. Might as well be a damn rock. Looks like something's holding that knob in place. Well, if you can't do it, 7, guess we might as well give up.
Ja, also
Du musst
das
die
Einzige,
Kette,
was...
Du musst
Bitte?
auf die Kette drücken.
Auf die Kette drücken? Welche Kette?
Da geht von dem Faucet eine Kette ab.
Ach, das ist eine Kette. Oh Gott.
Ja. There's a plug on the end of this chain. Alright, why don't we just drain this water?
Ich habe das irgendwie als Wasser gesehen.
Ja, ich wusste auch nicht, was es sein soll.
Ja.
Yeah, good plan. Und weil du halt auch keinen Cursor hast, musst du einfach blind... Alright, where's that thing? A good tuck ought to be good enough.
Warum machen wir das? Ach,
Da
wegen
war
dem,
der Plug dran.
wegen dem
Genau.
Blatt, was da lag.
Genau. So, dann
Hat man das Blatt gesehen durch
ja.
das Wasser?
Nee, ich glaube nicht.
Nee.
Ich glaube, wir müssen jetzt zurück zum Fireplace mit dann die Vase benutzen.
Ja. Ich wusste nicht so ganz, wo ich bin, deswegen.
Alright, time to put this fire out. About time, buddy. Let's do it. Woo! Here we go.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Ho, 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 ho. Good job.
Ho, ho, ho.
Another success.
Solo. Ha, ha, ha.
That fire didn't stand a chance. Alright, I'll just pull this out now. Don't want to get burned, so let's pull down the sleeves. Und jetzt gehen wir durch die linke Tür, die in diesem Raum ist.
Warte.
Okay.
As Junpei tucked the plate into his pocket, Seven cried out and stumbled, his balance lost. He threw out a hand and caught the wall in time to steady himself and avoid the floor, but his face was flushed and he looked startled.
Hey, Seven, what the hell was that? Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. I just felt a little dizzy, that's all.
Seven rubbed a couple of fingers across his brow and then shook his head as if to clear it.
What the hell is wrong with me? First memory loss, now I'm getting dizzy for no reason. Memory loss?
Junpei couldn't hide the surprise in his voice. Seven, for his part, seemed unconcerned.
Right, guess I haven't told you, have I? Told the rest of them, but that must have been before you showed up. Well, the long and short of it is that I don't remember Jack from before I woke up here. Didn't realize I hadn't told you. Whoa, wait a minute. You're talking about amnesia, right? Yeah, I guess so. Why are you an amnesiac? What happened to you? If I knew that, I wouldn't really be one, would I? Yeah, I guess that's true.
Junpei ist wirklich ein bisschen doof. Junpei paused for a moment and stared at Seven.
Are you telling the truth? Huh? Well, you look pretty calm for somebody who doesn't remember anything. If you've really got amnesia, shouldn't you be, like, upset or confused or something? Well, sure, I mean, I was pretty confused when I woke up down at D-Deck. But that was a while ago. I've had some time to get used to it. After a while, I figured it wasn't worth the effort, the trouble of worrying about it. After all, why worry about something I can't change? Well, people usually don't stay amnesiacs forever. I figure it'd work out eventually. It'd work itself out eventually. That's it? That's it. Alright, that's enough talking for now. Let's get back to work.
Seven gave Junpei a look the younger man wasn't sure how to interpret and turned to walk away. Somehow, though, Junpei didn't find his reassurances very reassuring.
So, linke Tür. Da ist auch ein Schrank, den wir...
Yes.
Genau.
Ach man. Nein.
Nope. Ja, nope. Höher, nur ein bisschen höher.
Ja.
Okay, und jetzt können wir zurück zum Piano. Und müssen
Das war...
Das müsste in dem Raum sein, oder? Nee, war nicht in dem Raum. Ja,
ich glaube
viel Glück.
hier...
Genau, dann rechts.
Da.
Nee, das... Doch. Ich habe mich hier nie ausgekannt. Und dann auf das Ding drücken, wo die Map vorher war.
Ach so, sorry. Ja.
Music stand. Seems as good a place as any to put this music we found. Just gotta put the ceramic plate on the bottom and then stack the glass plates on top of it. Alright? Good. Sweet! Now I can play the music. Junpei, would you be so kind as to play the piano? I am unable to, you see. I am sure I needn't tell you, but the keys on this piano are not what you might expect them to be. C won't be C, D won't be D, and so forth. You must listen carefully to determine which keys to strike.
Oh Gott.
Do you understand? Yeah, alright, let's give this a shot. Ja, für mich schon allein unlösbar. Also, ja, nee, ich sage dir, was du drücken musst.
Ich will ein bisschen so spielen.
Okay.
Sind wirklich nicht die richtigen.
Jo, möglich ist nicht, weil es zeigt halt oben an, ob du das richtige falsch ist. Also bist halt Trial and Error so ein bisschen.
Die gehen nicht. Die... Na, egal.
3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 5, 4, 3.
3, 5, 4, 3.
4, 3, 5, 6.
6.
6, 5, 4, 3.
Schule ist aus.
Mhm. And we're done. Music is not my forte. Wait! What was the noise? Junpei! We did it. Looks like it worked. I heard something unlock over by the exits. Let's go. Good plan. Stand! Bow! Be seated! Well, yeah, I guess he hasn't forgotten that. At least Snake think it's funny. Ha 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 ha. Yes, I suppose that was the classroom bell, wasn't it? I don't imagine that's what Zero was thinking, however. No, Zero almost certainly meant to suggest Westminster, not middle school. Westminster? The palace in London that plays host these days to the House of Parliament. You've heard of Big Ben, the famous clock tower, yes? Big Ben plays that very collection of notes on the hour. London? The capital of England, huh? At any rate, the door is now unlocked. Let's leave this place immediately. Yay! You did it, Tom. So
Ja.
smart. Alright. Let's go!
Yes.
Sehr gut, Tom.
Ja, ich habe sehr gut deinen Anweisungen gefolgt.
Mhm.
He came out of the door and into a long, straight hallway. He paused for a moment and turned around to look behind him. 7 was bent over, apparently doing something on to the door.
What's he up to?
Junpei had spoke more or less to himself, but apparently 7 had heard anyway. The larger man stood up and turned to Junpei.
I was just putting one of those plates in there. It ought to keep the door from locking again. Now we can come back here anytime we want, right? Why would you want to come back here?
Snake was a reasonable one. 7 thought about it for a moment before he answered.
I might like to play a little piano. Piano? Come on, let's get moving. We aren't out of this yet.
Without waiting for an answer, 7 started off down the hallway. Snake shrugged, sighed, and quietly followed 7. That's a lie, Junpei thought to himself. He had difficulty enough believing 7 could play the piano. But even if he could, the piano they'd just left was largely useless, the keyboard completely scrambled. If 7 wanted to come back, it was unlikely he intended to do so in order to play the piano. Wie das jetzt eigentlich so eine Seite ist, das festzustellen.
Yep.
But if that was the case, why would he want to leave the door unlocked? Junpei frowned, took one last look at the door and then walked away toward his companions. Wobei ich da sagen muss, ich finde das auch nicht verkehrt, sich den Rückweg offen zu halten.
Man hätte das anders, er hätte das ganz einfach besser begründen können.
Genau, er hätte sagen können, vielleicht ist ja hier irgendwann mal was, wo wir zurück müssen.
Das ist, ja, doch.
After some time in the hallway, they emerged into a larger, more open area. A large metal grate, like the door of a jail, divided it in half. They shook it for a while, but as they had expected, it did not move. Behind the grate were 2 elevators. From so far away, however, it was difficult to tell if they were still operating. On the left side of the grate was a door. Unfortunately, however, it was locked and refused to open.
No!
Junpei took a moment to examine the left side of the room.
I refuse.
Next to the wall was a set of stairs leading downward. Standing guard at the top of the stairway was a large iron gate. Foreboding as it was, the gate seemed to be the sort that could be opened, unlike the metal grate that bisected the room. With luck, Junpei hoped he might be able to get it open.
The female symbol?
He wasn't quite sure what to make of it.
Oh my.
Snake naturally was somewhat more sure.
The Venus symbol, I imagine. Do you recall the similar symbols near the large central stairway? They reference many of the solar bodies. Sun, Saturn, Earth. So as you can see, that one is likely not the women symbol, but a Venus symbol. So I assume.
While they had been discussing the symbols, Junpei now realized 7 had slipped away. His absence now felt Snake and Junpei turned to look for the missing companion. There. 7 had left them to head down the hallway extending to the front of the right of the stairs. Junpei grabbed Snake to lead him in the right direction, and they both headed off after 7. Before long, the 3 of them stood in front of a door. It was a French door.
What?
Okay. Junpei tested the door and realized that unlike so many others that they'd encountered, it was unlocked. Nennt man French Doors tatsächlich welche, die so
salonmäßig aufgehen?
Ja.
Anscheinend.
Almost as though he was afraid it would suddenly lock itself, Junpei threw the door open. Hätten jetzt so ganz schnell aufgehen müssen.
Ja.
He stepped inside.
Oh, bonjour, mon ami. You ventured through the French door.
It took only a moment for Junpei to take in his new surroundings.
Is this some kind of casino? Sure looks like one.
Before Junpei could comment further, a noise from behind made him turn around. Snake was shaking the door they'd just come through. As 7 and Junpei watched, he threw up his hands in frustration and then kicked the door for good measure. It looked as though they were once again locked in. There was no reason to panic, however. Even if the door had been left open, there was nowhere for them to go back there. They would have to find another way out.
Alright guys, let's split up and search this room. Come on, no dawdling. Let's go. Quickly now. Plötzlich wird es zu Mary Poppins.
Ich wollte gerade sagen, es klingt irgendwie nicht mehr nach 7.
Ja.
Come on, no dawdling.
Quickly now. Quickly now.
Spurred to action by 7's words, Junpei and Snake began to examine the room.
Alright kids, go to bed now. No dawdling.
Psst, psst.
Das ist leider sehr lame. Das Segue Out ist in Zero-Time Dilemma das lameste von allen.
Schade.
Ohne coole Musik dabei. So, das ist, wenn ich mich recht erinnere, so der meistgehasste Raum im Spiel so ziemlich. Weil
Dann lass ihn uns schnell hinter uns
Weil er sich
bringen.
noch mehr auf Pixel-Hunting konzentriert als viele andere. Examine the tape.
Das fängt ja gut an.
Da, du den Tisch vor dir und da die Karte aufheben. So, genau. Dann die Bar einmal erkunden. Da liegt ein Link, da links auf der Bar, direkt über dem... Nee, ist das da?
Also 7 probiert gerade was von dem.
Achso,
Stuff.
gluck, gluck, gluck. Oh, that hit the spot. Feels like my throat's burning. Oh god, it hurts. Damn, you really drank it. We don't even know how long it's been here. Also, weißt du, also auf jeden Fall rechts ist eine Karte, die du aufheben kannst, auf dem Counter.
Ach ja.
Musst natürlich genau drauf drücken.
Oh Gott.
Playing Card? Ach, musst du nicht?
Ach nee, muss nicht.
Toll.
Okay, Gott sei Dank.
Und ich glaube, ich weiß nicht, ist das links direkt über dem Item, das ist so ein Schatten. Ist das auch, was du aufheben kannst?
Links direkt über dem.
Direkt über deinem Item-Symbol. So ein Schatten. Yep.
What?
Feels like a playing card.
Ja, krass.
Das ist krass, ne? Das war tatsächlich dieser Schatten.
Ja, vor allem, weil das.
Yep. So, dann zum Kamin mal wieder.
Was ist denn hier ein Kamin?
Nochmal und da oben drauf drücken.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, egal. Well, at least this one isn't lit like the one in the first class cabin. Maybe that's why it feels a little chilly in here. Genau, auf das obere drücken. Und dann einmal auf die beiden Lampen drücken. Wait, when those two lights turn on, I heard something from the bottom of the fireplace. What was that? I heard something down there. Da ist jetzt ein Beck.
There's something in the fireplace. Casino Coins.
Mhm. Also du musst nochmal das anmachen und dann auf das Canvas drücken. Clubs, Diamond and Hearts. What's that? Well, when I turn on these lights, they make these shadows on the canvas. And the shadows look like the 3 symbols, right? Yeah. Clubs, Diamonds and Hearts. So, und siehst du da noch eine Karte?
Das hier?
Ja. There's something on top of the fireplace.
Wenigstens muss man die wirklich nicht so ganz direkt andrücken.
Yep, ich dachte nämlich, das muss man.
Ja.
Und dann einmal, touch the round corner. Also, warte, ich guck mal um, ich sag, wenn du da bist. Ich weiß nicht, wie ich es beschreiben soll. Noch einmal. Da, das Runde da hinten. Da rechts die Karte. Und dann einmal auf das blaue Rectangle da drücken.
Suddenly, Seven began to speak.
Baccarat. Baccarat? I have no idea. You ever played Junpei?
Junpei shook his head. He had barely even heard of the game.
Alright then, how about I explain the rules to you a bit?
Es gibt schon Gründe, weshalb Junpei so dumm sein muss.
Weil wir es auch sind. See, Baccarat is a kind of an unusual game. You've got the banker and the player, and the whole point is that you guess which one's gonna win. And whether the banker or the player wins all depends on their hands. The way each hand works is different from other games too. See, you take the number from the ones place after you add up the value of all, egal, your cards. Whoever gets the number closest to 9 wins. If your number is smaller than your opponent's, you lose. And that's it. That's the explanation. Got it? Well, actually, there's a lot more to it. Strategy, details, that sort of stuff. But what I just told you sums the core game up pretty well. The single digit of the sum of all the cards you have. The strongest hand is a 9, and the weakest hand is a 0. You just ignore the number in the 10 spot. You get it?
He hadn't been asked for it, but Seven's explanation, rushed though it had been, was helpful. Although he had only half understood most of it, Junpei now felt as though he had some grasp of how victory was won in Baccarat. However, Junpei had no way of knowing if the puzzle in the Baccarat table in front of them made use of those rules, and if it did, in what way. No problem, he told himself. He would simply have to try everything he could think of.
Fun!
Feeling more confident, if only slightly, Junpei approached the Baccarat table.
So, sind 5 und 6 und 7.
5, 6, okay.
Also
Ich
egal,
erkenne nicht.
Ich glaube, es ist egal, welche Reihenfolge. Hey Seven, are we really supposed to play Baccarat? It's a Baccarat table. What the hell else would we do? Stop worrying about it. It's real simple. What's the opponent's hand? Well, there's an 8 in the glass case. Alright, then that's your opponent's number. If that's the case, what 3 cards do we need to get to that number? 3 cards. There are a couple of indentations with white lines around them, right? Those mean we gotta put down 3 cards. So, place 3 cards in here and defeat the opponent's 8. That's what I've gotta do, I guess. Yeah, I think so. Something tells me those aren't the only rules. Alright, let's give it a shot. Before I start, make sure I got the rule. Okay, jetzt kannst du skippen.
Okay.
Ja, was wir einfach nur machen wollen, ist eine Quersumme von 8 erreichen.
Achso, jetzt hat er schon. Was hat er gesagt? 5?
5, 6, 7. Du musst erst auf die leere. Ja. 5, das ist dann 17 und 1 plus 7 ist 8. Deswegen haben wir gerade die Quersumme von 8 gemacht. Alright, if I just put on these 3 cards. Yes! Open for me! Great! You did it, Junpei! You think it's telling us to take the 8 card? Come on, let's grab it. So, machen wir die 8. Und dann müssen wir jetzt zu der mittleren Slot-Machine. Während man den blauen Back hält. Draufdrücken.
Was während man was?
Den blauen Back, den wir aufgesammelt haben. Den Beutel.
Ah, Back. Okay, ja. Oh, und auf die Plate.
Es ist Plate und das heißt zu. Also auf den Slot.
Ja.
Genau. Alright, let's drop this coin in the coin slot. Come on, you little bastards. I only need one of you. So, und jetzt müssen wir quasi das drücken, was da auf dem Canvas angezeigt wurde. Das war nämlich Club Diamond Hearts. Also rechts, links, Mitte.
Ja, ich kann da nicht draufdrücken. Muss ich vielleicht erst spinnen und dann was machen? Spin. Weil ich ja jetzt
genau,
die jeweiligen
genau.
Slot stoppe.
Genau.
Also Club Diamond Heart. Ja. Sehr gut.
7, 7, 7. Yes! 7, 7, 7! I'm rich! And I think I hear something unlocking in there.
Nennt man das nicht Lucky 7?
Womöglich. Impressive, Junpei. It would appear to be unlocked now. There is something akin to a drawer in the bottom part of this machine, yes?
Ich hoffe, wir haben einen guten Skin unlocked.
That is a pickup drawer for dividends. Probably the lock for the drawer got unlocked. Please open it, if you would.
Ray! Noch eine Karte.
What is it? Is there something in there? Yeah, playing card. And this? A key with the Venus symbol on it. Excellent, Junpei. Now we will be able to open the gate.
Sorry.
Then we just need to figure out how to get out of this room. Correct, it's okay. Come on, Junpei, hurry up. And he's off. There was a playing card and a Venus key. But I put the key in my pocket for later. As for the card... Okay, und dann gehen wir jetzt zum Schloss. Da rechts ist so eine Maschine, genau.
So, was, wie, wo?
Genau, da war richtig. Du musst den Pfeil dann auf den Pfeil klicken.
Ach.
Ich weiß, wir benutzen halt so einen Stift statt einen Stylus, deswegen
Ja.
da rechts auf diese Maschine drücken, genau. Weiter drauf drücken. Here's the card slot. Looks like we need to put a playing card in there. Alright, let's give it a shot. Und wir müssen wieder, glaube ich, wir müssen erneut die Quersumme erreichen. Da ist ein Ass, eine 1, also tun wir die 8 da drauf. Im Grunde müssen wir einfach nur addieren. And in you go. Hey, alright, it opened up. It seems we have another device to contend with, yes? There are 3 slots in this one. Wir müssen wieder die 9 erreichen, also nehmen wir die 2, 3 und die 4. Ich glaube, das sind die einzigen, die wir übrig haben. So that probably means we gotta make 9 with 3 cards you put in the slots, right? Just like what we did over at the Baccarat table. Alright, let's give it a shot.
Gibt es hier eine Möglichkeit, wie man mehr als...
Nee, aber also die Herausforderung ist halt eher, die ganzen Karten zu finden.
Ja.
Weil, also wenn du nicht weißt, wo die sind, ist das halt mega frustrierend.
Ja, das stimmt natürlich. Wenn es kleine Schatten sind auf einem...
Alright, so I put all the cards we had left into the slots. What happens now? Is that... Yes! I did hear something from the exit. Excellent work, Junpei. Wonderful. It seems the exit is unlocked. Let's go.
Die werden wir nichts machen währenddessen.
We did it. We're the best around. Oh, they're going to keep me down.
Animation.
Easy. Weiß nicht, wie ich so da jemand Probleme mit hatte.
Bing. Ja, so ist es sehr angenehm, das Spiel zu spielen.
Ja, ne?
Junpei and his companions ran out of the casino and into a large open room.
Das ist, glaube ich, die größte Welle von Gelaber im Spiel an dieser Stelle.
Echt?
Ja, ich glaube, das war hier.
A room, in fact, that they had been in once before. There was little to surprise them there. They already knew what their next step had to be. The iron gate still stood in place, locked tight, blocking the stairway.
Iron Gate ist ein Charakter in Saints Row, glaube ich.
In the center of the gate was the keyhole engraved with the Venus symbol. This time, however, Junpei had the Venus key in his pocket. Wasting no time, he pulled it out and shoved it into the keyhole.
That's what she said.
He turned it. With the distinctive sound of metal on metal, he felt the lock click open.
Alright, let's get this thing open. No problem, let me help with this one.
Junpei grabbed the handle on the left side and Seven took the handle on the right. On Junpei's signal, they both pushed and the gate creaked open. Schön.
It sounds as though you have opened it. We should be able to reach C-Deck now, I imagine. Snake, are you gonna be alright? I mean, the stairs. Please, do not do yourself the embarrassment of underestimating me. I would be unlikely to trip even if I were running backwards. Good to hear. Let's move.
He doesn't give a shit. At Seven's words, they leapt onto the stairs and jogged quickly down them.
Junpei fällt jetzt in diesen...
In no time at all, they found themselves on C-Deck. Junpei ran down the stairs a little farther in hopes of checking on the deck below. When he reached the water, he called back up to Snake and Seven.
Just what I thought. D-Deck is completely underwater. Just like the bottom of the central staircase.
The surface of the water below them was flat, like a mirror. That it had not changed too greatly since they'd last seen it was a great relief. Junpei quickly retraced the steps and headed back to C-Deck.
Falls ihr gerade übrigens einen Bass hört über unsere Mikrofone, hier ist ein Auto geparkt vor unserer Tür.
Ich glaube, das hört man nicht.
Das hört man ab und zu, die Autos.
Echt?
Aha.
Aber das fühlt sich selbst für mich so leise an, deswegen.
Ja, aber das ist halt nur so ein Bassding.
Okay, ja.
Gerade
so.
wenn man gerade irgendwie eine
Ja, wahrscheinlich, wenn man Headsets hat und so, das hört man es noch eher. In front of the stairs were a pair of elevators. They appeared to be identical to the ones from the upper floor. Between them, attached to the wall, was another card reader. And next to that was another strange symbol.
Hey, check it out. It's the symbol for Lotus. What? See, it's got the women's symbol, and then it's got devil horns, right? Yeah, see it. No two ways about it. That was pretty good one, kid.
7 tousled Junpei's hair in what he likely thought to be a friendly manner. Junpei feared his neck might break, even though it was clear Seven had kept his strength in check. Thankfully, Snake interrupted. After Junpei's observation, he'd gone over to examine the card reader.
Fuck Lotus, right? This is a Mercury symbol.
Aber die kennen sich kaum.
Nee, die haben sich 3 Mal miteinander gewechselt. The marks you mistook for horns are a stylized version of the rings and staff of Hermes. Rings and staff, huh? So she beats you with the staff until you die? And go to heaven? Sounds like Lotus, alright.
Seven shook Junpei's head even more vigorously, and younger man began to feel as though his brain was being jostled about inside of his skull. He began to feel rather ill.
Unless we can activate this device, I doubt the elevator will function. In other words, we gotta find a keycard with a Mercury symbol on it.
Ich würde ja zwischendurch mal fast sagen, dass wir aufgeschmissen wären, ohne das laufende Lehrbuch Snake. Andererseits war es total egal bisher, was diese Symbole sind.
So, dass das halt gezeichnet ist. Ja. So, I would assume.
They decided to leave the elevators alone for the time being and headed back to the stairs. To the left was another hallway. There were a great many doors lining both sides of the hallway. They seemed to stretch on forever, and all 3 men suddenly felt very small.
Oh shit. We're not gonna have enough time to check all of these, are we?
Oh shit.
Shit. Maybe we can come back here later. Let's check out the other side.
They turned around and went back the way they'd come. To the right of the stairs, another hallway stretched out, reaching deep into the bowels of the ship. After a few moments of moving briskly down the hallway, they emerged into an area roughly the same size and shape as the one at the top of the stairs. On the left side of the room were 4 French doors.
Well, let's open them up.
Junpei nodded and grabbed the one closest to him. He gave it a small tug and felt it move. It was unlocked. Thrilled to have found another unlocked door, he threw it open. Man kann es nicht aufwerfen, wenn es nach innen öffnet.
True.
Junpei didn't know what to make of what he saw. Oh Gott, daran erinnere ich mich gerade ganz leicht.
Das geht
Einfach
genau,
nur an dieses
genau das
Bild.
wollte ich dich gerade fragen, wie sehr du dich eigentlich so an die ganzen Sachen so erinnerst.
Naja, also auch an dieser Erklärung mit den Detonator und so, da sind schon ein paar Sachen zurückgekommen, wo ich mir jetzt denke, war das so? Aber ich bin mir nicht 100% sicher.
Du weißt
aber ich will ja nicht spekulieren, weil eventuell ist das korrekt.
Genau,
deswegen
aber du weißt wahrscheinlich aber auch nicht mehr so, was jetzt mit Sevens Amnesia auf sich hat oder so, oder? Oder kannst du dich an die ganzen Sachen auch noch erinnern?
Ich kann mich an was erinnern, weiß aber nicht, ob ich Seven wirklich zuordnen soll.
Okay.
Aber es ist halt wirklich lange her.
Ja. Also es ist ganz gut, dass wir das nochmal spielen, bevor wir zur WLA gehen.
Ja.